Yeah, what's doing?
I think I want to try to do a podcast.
A what? What's that?
Well, I talk about what I do during the day and maybe conversations.
Oh, because I never heard that term. So what is it? What you do during the day?
And maybe Joel wants to be on it. He thinks he'd be a good critic, a TV critic, that he'd be the best.
They're waiting for him to be a film critic. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe he could call in, yeah.
Calling in is different. So what do you put it on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad I don't have it. I never heard that term before. What is the name again?
A podcast.
Podcast? P-O-T?
P-O-D-C-A-S-T.
All right. I never heard that term.
Okay. I'm Fred Stoller, and that's my mother, who doesn't know what a podcast is, and let's hope I know what one is, because I'm going to try to do one. And this is, I think, my first official one. I did a trial last week, and it's taken a while. I have a title. The mild... What is that clicking in the ear? Is something bad? Are we okay? Yeah. Okay, here's the title. It gave me a chance to think of what it was. The Mild Adventures of Fred Stoller. And maybe there'll be a theme with music and because what do I do?
People with ulcers.
Yeah. My mother always says, what do you do during the day? And it seems like I don't do anything, but I walk around. I try to decide what to eat. People annoy me, or I sometimes have a good conversation. I'm going to introduce these two really great people, but I want to do a first, just an example of what happened today, an adventure. I always wanted to say I wrote the book on the guest star life. I literally did, called Maybe We'll Have You Back. I'm a guest star guy. I've never been a regular. So my landlord looked me up on the internet. He got savvy. He goes, you've been on a lot of shows. I didn't know you're rich. I go, I'm not. And he sees all these credits. My friend's son said, Dad, Fred has more credits than a famous person. See, if I just was on Becker for 4 years, just had that one credit, I'd own a house. But it looks like I'm rich. So he goes, you're taking advantage. This is a great area. You should move out and buy a house because I could raise the rent. So I'm freaked out. He's trying to think of a way to get rid of me. So this is how sick I am. I go to the farmer's market. I hope to bump into other character actors because I commiserate. And I want to do like a Cribs for like character actors. I asked this guy, could I film your house to show my landlord that just because you have a lot of credits, you don't live in a big house. So I have that book I mentioned, and I did these events, Fred Stoller and the Guest Stars, a comedy, try to promote it. So we had Larry Hankin, and he told such great stories, and so I guess this is the introduction now. So many things, and he's one of these guys, everything. You should write a book, because you've been, oh, wait a minute, that's been done. Now maybe you could do. He was, just to name a few, he played Kramer on Seinfeld, the show within the show, the pilot, Mr. Heckles on Friends, the junkyard guy on Breaking Bad. I got questions I have to ask him about WKRP in Cincinnati, Escape from Alcatraz, Laverne and Shirley. I'm not even reading this off a thing. Now, I became aware of you. I always knew you. Home Alone, we'll get into stories. And Amber Tozer is sitting with Tozer. So I won't get the. She said if she feels sorry for someone, she makes out with them. So I blew my thing.
I used to.
Oh, used to. Okay. Well, now I won't even get anything because I messed the name up. But I bumped into her at Farmers Market this morning, walking around. I hope to have interactions and commiserate, and. So I said,
yeah, but we've been talking about that for a few weeks.
She's going to come here. She's really big on Twitter. She's written on lots of shows. She's got things going on, and she's got a very smart vibe. Now, Larry, one of my first jobs was my worst one because they were trying to fire me, Singer and Sons, and you were on that, and that's where we became sort of friendly.
Yeah.
And you played. Do you always play the same kind of like, homeless kind of?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, that was a choice. I made that choice because I didn't want to put on costumes and I didn't want to get dressed, and I didn't want to shave. So I said, let me just play all these homeless guys, and then I've developed it into a feature movie now, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about, if anyone's listening, things to promote.
Everybody's listening.
Look, I don't want to get cocky, go, hey, you could promote things. I've been on so many podcasts where it's someone doing Skype in Minneapolis. Well, not always Minneapolis. Some guy in their apartment. They go, hey, what would you like to plug, Fred? And I go, no one's listening to this. So I don't want to be delusional. Hey, you could promote your thing. You never know. But I'm hoping to do something where if there's fans and just do it every week and talk and hope. Now, I want to.
It's therapy.
Yeah. And now look. We did an event at Flappers, and you kind of got mad at me because I was trying to compliment you.
Really?
I introduced you, and it came out the wrong way. I said, you're underrated, meaning people do this to me. Either they think I'm the biggest celebrity. Oh, do you need a writer's assistant? And they don't know I'm just some guy like napping all day. Or they go, how come you never made it? No, I didn't say that. They go, how come you haven't made it? Because Larry's similar in that he's done a million things but never hit the big home run and stuff. So I said So he played, when you were a Kramer, you were so good. You're so funny. I didn't, I said... But you said it's your choice. You could have been Kramer. Michael Richards is a genius.
Yeah.
But you could have just as easily been on Seinfeld for 9 years, and Kramer would have been different. It would have been angry and edgier, a darkness. But I'm just saying, I know it sounds wrong. He's as genius a character actor as Jim Carrey so much. But let me.
Oh,
could you talk into them? I learned.
Yeah. Well, because
let's make this.
This has come up a lot, so I think I've kind of figured it out. No, first of all, I don't like, I have a learning disability, ADHD, but it's pretty serious. And so
everyone had it,
yeah, but I've had it since I was a kid and never knew it.
Wow.
It's different if you know it, but if you don't know it, man, it becomes a mystery as to why you're misinterpreting information. I thought that was right, but it's wrong. So one of the things is it's hard for me to memorize lines. So I would avoid any thing that was too many lines. And the more pay you get, the more lines you get. And so I backed off.
I have that too in a way, but I don't know if I have ADHD. I like being comfortable.
When did you know that you had it? Did you
actually it surfaced about 10 years ago. So I went through my major creative life not knowing I had ADHD and avoiding parts where I had like a lot of lines, a whole page of lines.
Are we having an earthquake or? I thought I felt so. Okay.
So it's my doing. In other words, what I'm saying is, it's not that I am unrecognized. It's I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be recognized. I said no. If I'm going to memorize a lot of lines, then I will write my own stuff and memorize my own lines. And so that's what I was doing.
Okay. See,
which developed into me now out of show business. Out of show business and into making my own movies.
Yeah.
That's different.
Actually, one of the questions we got is you and Larry should do a web series. I always like the chemistry with this guy. Like, he's the aggressive. So we'll think of something. If you ever want a favor, I know you film so much.
Yeah, but now it's kind of plugged in already recently.
All right,
so I'm on a. I mean, no, we can still do it, but in other words, I finally found people who want to do what I want to do, not what they want me to do.
Okay.
So what you're saying that you've stopped trying to fit in to Hollywood and work on.
Right. I gave up my agent. I gave up my manager.
Wow.
I just said, okay, I'm just stepping off the edge. And it's great. It's great.
And you're making movies?
I'm making my own. I'm just doing my own words, and that's it.
Well,
Woody Allen, I mean, an elder.
Well, I have something similar, and where I grew up, maybe because I had no confidence, and I was never funny. I was depressed and pathologically shy. But when I'd see character actors like guys you may not know, Herb Edelman or Ron Liebman, or weird guys who had 3 lines in a movie, I go, I could be that. I never thought I could be Clint Eastwood, obviously, or even Elliot Gould. So I remember I was seeing a shrink. He goes, I fantasize being the guy in Dog Day Afternoon who chickens out, or the guy with 3 lines. Who's that? He goes, you should have bigger dreams than that. So I don't know if it was ADHD. I just thought that's possible. Like, I always have crushes on people I think may actually look at me. You know what I mean? So it's in the realm of possibility. So I didn't ever think I want to be a star. But then when I got into it, I thought, yeah, I'm always like at the craft service table, hearing the guys from Raymond talk about what they're going to wear to the Emmys, their new houses. So then I go, yeah, I'd like to be a regular and do more. I'm not complaining. But when you say ADHD with me, but maybe I have it too, because I like, not the pressure. And sorry for going all over this place, but you have a great story about Breaking Bad. You have so many great stories. Now, you said with the learning disability of getting lots of material. You said when you had to memorize a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It would take me a long time. In other words, one of the things before I just tossed it all in, for years, what I would do is if I would get a part, I would tell my agent to tell him to get me the script as soon as possible, so that I would have a long lead time to memorize.
Is it what's it called? Not Tourette's.
I have Tourette's also.
What's the other thing? Dyslexia. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So how would you memorize?
It would just take me hours and hours. You just repeat it over and over again. But since I didn't know I had ADHD, I was forcing it. And I always showed up and memorized never blew the lines, not much, just like any other actor. But so I always worked. But when I found out that I had ADHD, and that's why, it was such a relief that I didn't need as much time. My mind started to relax. It's real weird. You start to now.
You had a label.
Yeah. Exactly.
I always wish. I was telling Amber this morning.
But by then I wanted out, so it didn't matter whether I could do it a little better.
But it was a relief to know that
it was
you were diagnosed with something. I understand.
Such a
yeah.
I mean,
you probably went from
feel smarter.
Yeah, you're like,
holy cow.
I always wish that I was telling Amber, I wish I was an alcoholic, because then I could go, I surrender, I quit, and my life blossomed. And my mother, I always envied people whose mothers really hit them and threw them down the steps because, you have a label. Mixed messages screw up a kid more. And I once brought it to my shrink. In the next session, he goes, I think she's schizophrenic. And even though he's a worse shrink, she's not schizophrenic. But I was so excited. Yeah, I got a label. I'd always tape phone calls with my mother. I want evidence that she's messed me up. I always say it's like the show Mr. Ed, how he'd only talk for Wilbur, and it looked like he was crazy. So I always want to be validated. So I know what you mean, the relief of a label, and I wish I had like something. And I have the same thing where, we had the same age, and I left him after 10 years. I didn't want to leave him because I'd always bump into him at Fred Willard's parties and hate confrontation, and I finally did. But tell him about the Breaking Bad, how you were overwhelmed. You had so many lines you had to do.
Well, yeah.
Is he talking into the mic okay?
Yeah, I was. It was on the second one. The first one I aced because they invited me back, so I guess I did well.
But you said that's the thing. How you?
No, the second time. At the second time, I went up on a couple of lines. But I mean, all actors at some point go up on a line. But since I had that thing in the back of my memory, it's very hard for me. I'm very sensitive about going up on lines. Where other actors just go up on lines and say, I'll do it again. Well, to me, it was anyway. I was doing a scene with Bryan Cranston, and I went up on my lines. Okay. Then I went up on my line again, and this time he was like being the guy, not Brian.
He was Walter White. That's intimidating. You want to mess up, and Walter White looks at you.
Now, I didn't know whether he was being Walter or Brian, and I was screwing up, or he was just screwing with me because that's what they do a lot,
Oh yeah.
So I got started to get uptight. Now, when you get uptight, you blow it even more. So finally, I got so nervous because now Brian wasn't even looking at me. He would deliver his lines to somebody else. So I went up to the director, and because I was so nervous now and thrown, I went up to the director and I said, "Hey, look, am I holding up stuff? Am I, screwing up? I mean, He said, "No, why?" I said, "Well, I've been going up on lines, and I think Brian is mad at me." He said, "The hell with him," which kind of was cool. He said, "You're not doing anything. Get back there." I get back into the scene.
Yeah,
so I just went, and it was fine after that. But still, there was this thing between, which I may have made up, between me and Brian, which was kind of, a little edgy there. And so that's, after Breaking Bad, that's when I phoned everybody and said, "I'm out. I don't need this. I'm gone. I'm doing my own work. If I screw up on my own lines."
First of all, one thing people may not know, for me, the smaller the part they may not know, the harder it's to memorize because you're saying something weird. Out of context, you come in, and as the weirdo delivery guy,
backstory.
You have dungarees. You're not in flow. "Hey, Amber, what'd you do today?" "I got coffee." That you could memorize. It's a to and fro. When you're the weird guy coming in, and especially if you have scientific lab things, and I used to try for auditions.
See, that's why I did homeless stuff. They don't go to labs. They don't have doctor
You just
shit
come
to
in,
say.
and but do you have it? The smaller the part,
Where's my pants?
Plus,
all right, I'm done.
The small parts, it's more pressure to memorize because it's one line. I remember when I was a writer on Seinfeld for a season, one guy kept flubbing a line, and Larry David is going, "This fucking guy has one line." That's my Larry David impression. "He can't get his fucking one line," and I'm thinking, yes, it's harder to do one line because you're the guest weird guy. You have to hit it out of the park. And there's somewhat, like you said, pressure. And, I thought you already had it with the business. Tell your friend's story. You Mr. Heckles, the next door neighbor, and how you thought, all right, I've got a regular gig. I'm going to be a regular on Friends.
Yeah.
That
had...
I thought you said you were done after that.
No, but...
He's been done a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you have... in anything, when you give up what's paying the rent, when you give up what's paying, you need to be hit a couple of times hard before you just don't walk away just for no reason or just one time. But when I was doing Mr. Heckles, I had done 4 shows, just one at a time. Hey, we want you back. Hey, we want you back. Hey, we want you back. And then when you do 6 shows, you're not hired. You have to be.
You're recurring. They pay to hold you. Yeah.
You can't be paid less than a very big salary. It says you are now a recurring character. Well, I had done 4, so I was like thinking, hey, maybe.
And right in the inception of the show, that's when you have the most hope. You're in the beginning. They're forming characters. Yeah.
So I did 4, and then my agent called because there were a long time between these 4. It wasn't like, "Hey, we're going to have you back." You just get a call and say, "Hey, we want you again." So I did the 4th one. Then a long time goes by, and my agent calls up and he says, "Hey, I got some good news and bad news for you." I go, "Okay, well, what's the good news?" He says, "You got a 5th Friends." He and me both knowing what that meant. Yeah, I'm on the cusp.
Yes.
Yeah, I said, "Whoa, man, that's so cool!"
And at the time, Friends was like a mega hit.
Oh, it was mega hit because this now was in the 3rd or 4th year already.
And you said that he had an interesting. It started with the craft service, bagels, and then by the time it's salmon and shrimp and. Remember?
Well, you can tell how good a show is doing by the craft services table.
Yeah.
So at this point, the 5th one, the 4th one, it was a groaning board. So so I said, so what? Okay, so it's the 5th one. I'm back. Wow, that's cool. What could be the bad news? He says, "They're killing you."
Oh.
I go, "What?" He says, "Yeah, they're killing you off." I go, "Why?" I don't know why. So I was so incensed. I mean, really incensed, because in my mind, I had already bought a house. I was standing in the driveway. I was actually standing in the driveway.
In your fantasy.
Yeah. Literally. And I mean, in
Where was
between,
the house? Where was the house going to be?
It was in the hills. It was in the Hollywood
hills.
So, I mean, in between, you're back, you got the fifth show, and the bad news. That was, I bought the house.
Yeah.
It was within
There's some people who literally buy it, but you're smart, you didn't.
So when I showed up at the to get together, the table read, there's salmon and lox and steak and it's couldn't.
I sorry to interrupt, but I've had things where you're the guest guy. They're giving gifts at Scrubs. We're picked up, and they're giving them plasma TVs and hugging, and I'm just the guest guy. Yeah, all the celebration.
So all that is going on, and there's millions of people for it was, I think, maybe the first show of the season. So
we're back. We're number one.
Yeah. And so I just march over. I see the three producers just
Marta
standing
Kaufman,
together.
The big deals.
Yeah, they're standing, talking to themselves in the midst of this. It was like a cocktail party. That's what it was. Only everybody had juice instead of
Right.
So, but it was that big, and so I walked over. And they turned to me and said, "Larry," and I go, "What the hell are you people doing, man?" And they were just shocked. What? And they didn't know what to say.
You said, "Why'd you kill me?"
Yeah. No, I said, "What the hell what did you do? What the hell did you do, man?"
If you said the F, you could say it here.
Well, no, I didn't. I just said, "What the hell?" And they were just shocked, and they were just shocked and stunned. And I thought, "Oh my God, what have I just done?" I just like. So they said, "Well, we
Plus, you said they built a Mr. Heckle's apartment. You were all excited.
That was on the fourth show.
You have your own set. This is yours.
That was the fourth show. So I figured, hey, I'll
got
be
an
back
apartment.
at least. So after that, they didn't say anything. They just said, "Well, it was a writing thing." They didn't know what to say. So I kind of faded back. By then, it had sunk in what I had just done. Because the conversation stopped, I yelled it out loud. And so conversation had stopped, and so I backed away. I just said, "Oh, okay, listen, cool." And I just went to the craft service table. But from that point on till I was released at the end of the shoot, nobody talked to me. Nobody. If I was at the if there was people at the craft service table and I went over, they walked away. I mean, it was
crazy
just
guy.
Weird. Yeah, it was just weird. But looking back on it, I'm sorry that the only regret I have is me thinking that I did a bad thing. Me telling them that was a great thing.
No,
it's just. To be able to say, "What the hell are you think you're doing?"
There's two ways to look at it. Like I'm on eggshells every show because you want to be brought back. Even if it's a show I feel miserable, you want to hear. I'll have shows, these kid shows, where they throw food at me, and I'm the skinny middle-aged guy, and they kick me in the head. I go, I don't want to do this, but you still want to hear at the end, "We'll have you back." You still want that. So there's a part of me that goes, yeah, you gotta stay out of the way. There's another part that hears stories about guys that go, "Fuck you, you'll give me this," and they're respected and they get stuff. So I get confused. You know what I mean? People that go, "Give me this," and I'm not taking your shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I just thought when it was all over and I went home, I said, okay, and that started me on I don't belong here. It's just not that. It's just I can do something else.
Yeah.
That I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm making good money at doing the wrong thing, but I'm doing the wrong thing. And I've always thought since then that until I finally phoned my agent and said, "Okay, it's over. Thank you."
Well, we have the same agent. I had a similar thing.
I
left. I'm sorry.
I was that it was a cubicle thing. You see these people working in cubicles in offices. That's my idea of show business.
Well,
working in Hollywood. That's why I left, because it was cubicle work.
Well, for me, I was on the road as a stand-up, And I never trusted my feelings. I go, why am I miserable? Am I a sore loser? Am I not trying hard enough? People go, it's the ultimate. You should love it. And my act is very low-key and subtle, and they'd switch me with the middle act, or I'm in Texas, and they're screaming out anti-Jewish things. And it never felt right, and it took me years to accept. My heart fell out of it. I like telling stories, but not these comedy clubs where they're drunk and you're following a guy that does a mariachi thing and spits at the audience, and screams out theme songs. It's in the right venue. I'd like to do it, but not the thing. So I was so thrilled when I started doing guest spots to say, oh, I'm not on the road as a comedian. I'm in show business. I thought, hey, executives are seeing me. But then it did feel like a day job. But now that I'm expressing myself, my book, Maybe We'll Have You Back, and my Seinfeld Your Kindle single, and Fred and Vinny, these are things I made money from the Kindle single, but they're labors of love expressing myself. And even this podcast, I don't think I'll make money from, but I'm enjoying this. So when you have those things, now the guest star stuff is kind of fun if it comes to me effortlessly, because it's not the one thing I do. It's just, hey, I do this too. And I used to poo-poo it like years ago, going, oh, I've never been a regular. And like I said, I'm hearing Brad Garrett complaining he's only making $400,000 an episode and Ray's making $2 million. And they're all getting the scripts for the next one. They're getting their gifts. They're hugging each other, talking about their houses. But now that I'm older, I go, I appreciate just having lots of different adventures. And one of the things I appreciate the most is I've done a few guest spots on kids shows. Have you done the Drake and Josh or Wizards of Waverly Place stuff?
I think I maybe did one long time ago, but no, that's not my bag.
And as broad and stupid as they are, they're like vaudeville. Like the only fun one, the ones that aren't fun is when they want me to be Ben Stein on Quaaludes. Like the joke is, talk slower, Fred. I'm a very excitable teacher. It's not fun talking slowly, deliberately. But when kids come up to now 21 or adults go, you were on a Drake and Josh. To be part of someone's childhood is something is very special when they recognize me, kids. Yeah. So yes, you got to be creative. I learned, and when I was younger. The one thing, I hang out with this guy, Jimmy, who you were at Flappers with, a 27-year-old Chinese guy, comedian. And part of me envies him. He's got the whole world ahead of him. But when I had the whole world ahead of me, I had so much more depression and anxiety because it was ahead of me. And the pressure, got to get a pilot, got to make it happen now. Then now that I'm older and the expectations are less, just do a quirky thing here and there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know what you're saying, but that's not how I look at it.
The Madison.
I look at it that I'm
talking to the mic.
Now
this is so good.
I have the whole world ahead of me.
That's me too.
Well, I think it would be difficult because here you are doing what having a.
It's doing what I've always wanted to do. When somebody said, "Hey, you could be an actor and get a lot of money," and I thought,
"Well, did you?
What a cool thing!"
Well, and did you have the same thing, Larry? I had, like I said before, you were on these sets thinking, all the executives that see me, I'm in showbiz. I'm making a living in showbiz. I'll be on more TV shows. But for me, I just stayed at that level. So did you think you're just moving along? I didn't know why I wasn't as happy as I am now.
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of numb to my situation. In other words, I thought I'm an actor, I'm making money, and I will make more money, and this can go on for a while because I'm doing okay. I
had the same thing.
So it never bothered me until it started internally. I said, wait, I don't belong here, and and then each time I had some sort of, these lines are too hard to memorize. I got to stay up all night to memorize. I said, why am I doing this?
So you basically had to reach a point of so much pain and discomfort to make a decision.
And it just wasn't. I'm thinking, this is not. When I called this is really interesting. A lot of my friends and even my grandfather, they reach a point where you go through a marriage, you raise kids, and then the kids leave the house, and then you have the empty nest thing. Okay, I've never gone through that, but I have friends who went through that, go through that. And my grandfather did the same thing. When the kids got out of the house, and I would go visit him, and both grandfathers started to do crazy things from the empty nest syndrome. They started to spend money like crazy, or they started to. One of my grandfathers bought a red convertible.
So you're having the empty nest thing now.
Well,
me too. Smoking pot all of a sudden.
What I'm saying is that they were put away, or they were put to a home, or the money was taken away from them, and they were considered not also. What is the old word was? Senile.
Senile.
They were becoming senile. That was the label for them, and so they were looked at like that. And then when I called my agent and I said, okay, it's over. I'm out. What are you going to do? I don't know. I don't care. I'm out, and I'm going to sit at home until something, or just hang until something occurs to me, which is scary. So I did that. And then there's this time where nothing is going on, but I'm not going back, and you just stay there. And I thought, okay, this is the empty nest. I've given up everything that I've worked till now, and then this emptiness. And then I started going back. When was the last time I had fun? That was the next thought.
Right.
And then I thought, well, when I was a stand-up comedian. Why? Because you were doing your own stuff, and nobody was telling you to memorize this, and nobody was ordering you around, good or bad. I was doing my own stuff. I was having fun, man. So I started to go back to doing that, and then I suddenly realized what my grandfather was doing. No, they weren't senile. Since their life was finished for that point, empty nest, I raised a family, I got them out of the house, I'm a good, father. They go back to what was going on before they started that trip. Yeah. Well, I was a single guy.
Well, look,
in their grandfather.
I don't know if this is the same thing. I'm not plugging my book, but no, I'll never make a penny. There was a lawsuit, but the thing is, I had the goal. I wanted to have a book published about the guest star life. I never thought I'll make a lot of money. It'll be a bestseller. All I wanted to do was have the book published. It took 10 years. So it's that same passion when you want to have something done. It's not about, I'll make the money or make this. And I have that about expressing myself and what Larry's talking about. And Larry's like me, and I don't fit into puzzles. Either we're who we are. I'm not going to adapt to, the stuff. So you get to a point where you know when you're wasting your time on these auditions and everything.
Yeah, or you can look at it the other way, is that you finally find out who you are, really. And I think that's what happened. Once I gave up, I called and said, okay, I'm out. That was the inklings that
this is
you're starting to find out.
This is what I wanted to say. Like, I got to a point where I got ruined in a good way because I did an animation series for about 4 seasons, and you come in, you don't shave like I am now, you're having fun, and so I didn't have the desperation, and I did the movie Fred and Vinny, and I did the books, and I go, wait a minute, this I love. So then it made it harder to go on these cattle call auditions for stuff I'm not right for. I have a New York Jewish accent. So then I got to somewhere. One audition was a big thing for, what's his name? Zach Galifianakis. They have not him, but the kind of, hey, dude, and he's taking the swigs. He's the philosopher. Dude, rule number 3 with chicks, and he's the slob, and it's so not me. So I had a few times where I walked out of auditions. I go,
cool.
But it was liberating and scary as hell. Because in one way, it's like, it's such a freedom to go, I don't even think I'm brave. There was one audition I walked out of, not because there's no way I could do it. There's no way I could say the words in front of this group of people after waiting an hour. So it was liberating, but it's scary. I go, Fred, once you do this, there's no going back. What's next? So it gets scary. But I still love acting if someone wants me in something, if it's something right. That being said, we had the same agent, and he's a character in that I wrote about my book, and he doesn't mind that he'd always want to try to get something for free. Like, I wrote on Seinfeld, and they did the DVDs where I was doing commentary as a writer. And he goes, there's no money, but I got real creative. They're going to give you every season of Seinfeld DVD, and me too. So you pick up mine and bring it to me. I go, I'm not your delivery boy. I'm not going to bring, this is already, I was getting resentful because every job was someone I worked with, someone asked for me, not something. Is that okay to level? Okay. Not saying they did, but they always say, we got you this thing. So then every time a new season of Seinfeld would come out, he'd call me up, did you get your DVD set? I didn't get mine yet. I go, stop with that, you know. And then I did this movie Little Man, and the same thing. They want me, when you're on the commentary, they don't pay you, but he goes, I got creative again. 12 DVDs. We'll split them of Little Man. I go, first of all, why are we splitting them? You're supposed to get 10%. And I go, you saw Little Man with me at the premiere. It's a kid's. He goes, yeah, they're free. I want him. So basically, he's a real good guy. And what I loved about him was that he did nothing. Because I hate auditions, too. I know from experience, I would, when they had fax machines and the sides would come in and 9, I go, stop, too many pages. You know, I know I'm so specific, and almost everything I get is someone wants me. So I'm going, this guy's great, because I hate auditions, and I was getting spoiled doing creative things. But then I started thinking, you know, hanging out with the young guy, Jimmy, you know, maybe I should try to do pilots, and there's things out there. One of the stories was one time I stopped by Mike's office, and I said, hey, how come no auditions? He goes, it's dead. He points to his computer, like that's evidence. So then I go to say hi to Gloria. I go, what's going on? She goes, can't talk to you. I'm crazed. I go, I thought it was dead. You know, so this one agent never submitted me for anything. And Mike goes, oh, she just does Sons of Anarchy and Gritty shows. Well, there's more things. So then I thought, all right, I want to leave. Yeah, because one part of the agency totally shut me out because I used to like lie, and I didn't want to do an audition. So I got a voiceover job. I wish I could. And if I had as many voiceover auditions, jobs as I would be Tom Kenny, I'd be a gazillionaire. The makeup to get. Finally, I started saying, the part doesn't feel right. If I go in there and read for this Southern redneck, I'm going to suck and they'll never bring me in again. I'm not a Southern redneck. So the one, she goes, all right. And then you think they get it, and then I never hear from them again. So long story short, I finally leave him, find a new agent, and I'm relieved because he doesn't submit me anymore too. Yes, but I wanted to show I was trying. And I want to ask you, about playing Kramer. Now, it was interesting. Now, the people I hope are listening, usually the way it goes, if you're someone like Larry who's been around, if you have to audition, you do a thing like go to producers. If you're starting out, if you're more green, it's called what's it called? A first read, where it's just 40, 50 people for a casting agent. And then if they like you, they say, wait around, come back later in the afternoon or another day for the producers. So usually for a guest spot, you'd audition for the producers with about 10 other people, and then they'd book you. Now, why? Tell the story. When you played Kramer, you had to come in 4 times for a guest spot?
I think it was 5.
5?
Yeah.
Now, why was that? And that I think even at that I'd go, no, but you knew it was the biggest show. Like, what were they making you do different each time? And
I have no idea to this day. And and that was the other thing, you know, the audition process.
Soul killer.
I never understood the process because why I went 5 times was because I liked the part. That was all.
But what were they having you do different each time? Like, couldn't
Nothing.
they get that you look like Kramer? You're lanky, you're hysterical, you should be Kramer. I mean, were there other people like you there? Who was in the hall?
There was.
Who else was in the hallway?
Auditioning short people, bald people,
to be
tall
Kramer.
People. I mean, no, but I was the only guy who looked like Michael, and Michael had. I was the only guy who looked like the guy who Kramer really was, the real Kramer. I kind of looked like him, as did Michael. But other than me and Michael, and we never auditioned at the same time, I never met him at the audition, the people who I auditioned with for Kramer were people who didn't look anything like me. Short, fat, bald, old, young. I mean, it was really weird.
So tell me about what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get it by the mic.
So I never understood the process, but I liked the part, and since it was not on the air, there was no reason for me to think it was going to be big or small or great.
Did you have to read the same scene?
And I read the same scene each time, and each time there was 5 different other or 6 different other people
in the room
auditioning. Auditioning with me, but they were still not Michael Richards, and they didn't look anything like me. And there was always one guy in the room. There was Jerry. There was
Larry, the management,
Costanza.
George.
So I didn't, but I didn't know who Larry was. I didn't know which guy. I didn't know there was a Larry.
Then, yeah.
I didn't know there even Larry existed. There was 5 or 6 people in the room, 3 of which I recognized from other things. I was a big fan of Seinfeld. And I assumed that one of the guys was a director and one was a producer. So who is this other guy? And I was getting mad at him because this guy would keep on asking me to come in the door again. What Michael Richards finally, he'd say, come in the door again.
Do a Kramer entrance.
For the Kramer. Oh, yeah, no, it was on the air. It was just this new thing. I got mixed up. It was on the air for a while. So I kept on coming in the door each time, trying to be funny. And this guy, this bald guy, kept on saying, do it again, do it again. And when you go out, well, like here, it wasn't in the hallway. When you go out of the room to come in, you were in the lobby. You were in the waiting room where all the other actors were waiting, and the secretary. So they would wonder, why is this guy coming in and going out?
What did you do differently? When you came in the door?
Nothing, because I didn't know what was going on. I just wanted the part. But the last time, the 5th time, I was ready to also bark at them, saying, what the fuck are you people doing? Why am I here all the time? Make up your mind. So this bald-headed guy said, come in again for the 3rd time in this one audition. Come in again. I said to the secretary when I got out there, I said, who's the bald guy in there? And she said, that's Larry David. He writes and produces it. And I said, oh, because I was going to go in there and fucking chew his head off. But I won't. Because he's Larry David. Right. So I went in there. I was very nice. I did the thing, and I left. And I said to my agent, Mike, I said, I don't care if I don't get it. I'm not going back there. They're crazy over there. And that's when I got the call to,
Now, a bunch of questions, and one of them, let me see who it's from, asked, before Seinfeld... Well, what was the thing he appeared in my favorite WKRP episode. Was that the TV acting role he was most recognized before Seinfeld and Friends? Like, people come up to me to go, where do I know you from? Or they hear me talk, you're famous, tell me where. And I have to list my credits. Like, usually, if it's a teen, I go Wizards of Waverly Place. I always start with Seinfeld, Raymond. They go, no, what else? If it's a black guy, I say Rebound, Little Man. Do people ask where they know you from, or is it always Seinfeld?
And I did that for like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 100 times, and then I just blow them off. I can't. I'll give you the story. Okay. I was in St. Louis, and I was in a shoe store, and I was buying a pair of shoes, and these like 14-year-old kids come in. About half were black, half were white. They were a little gang of kids came in.
Okay,
maybe one was 16. Yeah. He was herding them. And they come in, and they come over, and they go, oh, man, look at who that is. And they came over to me, and they surrounded me. And they were all beaming.
Oh, I forgot to say Billy Madison, Home Alone. Yeah. Sorry. I'll shut up. Tell the story.
So they said, what are you in? And that's like already I had been doing a couple of years of this. So I froze. I go, well, I don't know if I can. Yeah, no, man. No. We really like you. What are you in? What are you in? And I started
listing the credits.
This. I listed about 3 or 4.
Married with Children.
And they're saying, no,
Yeah.
No. And so finally I said, look, I can't stand here and give you my entire credits. And so this one little kid who was asking all the questions said to the others, all right, let's get out of here. This guy sucks, man. He's a real creep. Let's go. And they walked out. And I thought, how cool of the kid. I was just being an asshole as far as he was concerned. And I stopped doing it. After that, I said, I'll blow them all off. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, sir. Go find out where you saw me and come back, and I'll talk to you.
Well,
I mean, just stop it.
Do people think you're ever anyone else? Because I think
they're married to their cousin or something.
I've gotten. Well, see, I'm the type of guy. I'm very isolated. Unless they're obnoxious, people will come up to me. They go, "I don't mean to bother you." And then I'm talking, now I'm bothering them like a mature married couple, and now I'm following them around. I'm so glad they broke up the isolation. The only time I don't like it is when, who are you? Who are you? And they're poking me in the chest. Or I've had a few people recognize me, then ask for money. You got $2? But this happens where I learn not to argue with people. Someone will insist I'm someone else. I go, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. Like there's a guy, sadly he passed away, and he was in Broadway, Danny Rose, and he was in The Warriors. And people think I'm him. He had a droopy eye. They go, you were in The Warriors. I go, no, I wasn't. I know who you mean. Yes, you were. I go, no, I wasn't. They go, you sure? Like I would have forgotten I was in a seminal Walter Hill movie. And I went, you're right, I forgot. You can't argue with these people.
Well, I mean, yeah, but, you got to take it one each individual at a time. Some people are really nice, and they recognize me, and they say hello, and I say hello, and okay, it's cool. It's that some people don't realize.
They're obnoxious.
Yeah, because, I'm in their living room, but they're not in mine. And they don't know that. And there's no way to say, hey, you think you know me, but you don't know me.
Is there any misconceptions? Like with me, it's I'm rich. Like these black guys recognize me. The fact they're black has nothing to do with it. But they point to the Hollywood Hills. They go, he must live up there. And I want to take their hand, no, and point at where it really is.
All the things that we've talked about, they're part of being an actor, and either you like it or you don't, but you're an actor. I'm not an actor. So it behooves me to keep on reminding me that I'm not an actor. I'm a stand-up comedian, I'm a writer, and I'm a filmmaker. Right. That's what I am. And these people are relating to me like an actor. Now, if I was an actor, I'd love that.
Oh, don't bang the table.
Okay. I'd love that. Out. But I'm not.
All right, let me ask you, have you had any great experiences as an actor? I mean, there's fun.
Yes, of course.
Like, what's the fun stuff? Have you ever...
The fun stuff is hitting your marks and getting it right.
Has there ever been a time when you work with someone, go, I can't believe I'm working with so-and-so. I used to watch him as a kid. Or for me, it was, I know this sounds crazy. I had a man crush on Treat Williams. I loved him in the movie Hair. Do you know who Treat Williams is? I was so starstruck. I loved on Raymond meeting Charles Durning and Peter Boyle because I loved Dog Day Afternoon and Taxi Driver and I was going to ask you, did you ever work with anyone you had a crush on? So you work with Holly Hunter, and we were talking about her. I had a crush on her.
No,
meaningless.
Meaningless. No, I don't know whether it's my ADHD or what the other thing was that you were talking about.
Tourette's. No, what is it?
Tourette's. Well, it's that. No, I don't have a crush on anybody. I relate, and that's one of the mistakes. That's why I'm not an actor, and that's why I can say that. I worked with Holly Hunter, and she was just a person.
No, I know she's a person. I wouldn't stand there drooling.
That's it.
But
well, that's a healthy way to approach it.
No, but it's not. It's not.
But so you're saying that you've never been starstruck on set?
No. Maybe I'm starstruck when I'm watching the movie.
Yeah.
But that's the movie, and I go, "Wow, man! I wish I could,
well,
be like that."
They say,
but when I meet them. No, they're a human being. And they're a person, and I don't relate to them that way. And sometimes it's not cool to not relate to them that way.
Well, I've had
like Bryan Cranston. I would just, go up and ask him questions, and sometimes he was nice, and he was a human being, and sometimes he was Walter
White, yeah.
But when he was, I've never had that.
I just got to say...
But if I was an actor, I would, of course. filmmakers, I'm starstruck.
Actually, Quentin Tarantino was the one guy I wanted to meet the most. And I love him more, not for his movies, his passion, the way he talks about movies. And there's this farmer's market table you came to once, and Amber came this morning, and he was there to see Paul Mazursky, and I had this delusion. He'd go, "You're Fred Stoller. I saw you in these 2-bit parts. You should be a hitman, not just a delivery guy." He had no clue who I was, but he loved Ronnie Shell, this character actor, and all these Disney movies. But when that cliche, don't meet your idols, I used to love Donald Sutherland because people thought I was like Donald Sutherland, and I'd see him in these movies, and he's this goofy guy with all these macho people in the Dirty Dozen. So I did extra work on a movie, became Heaven Help Us, and there was like a 400 extras, and the AD goes, "Any comedians?" And one guy went up. Then I said, "I'm a comedian. I thought I could get the director's attention." And I was killing only because they were starved for attention. And, I was doing real jokes for my act. And Donald Sutherland pushed me off because he was trying to be funny. He goes, "Get off. Anyone could get laughs doing jokes about a Jewish holiday." And he was really, and then I would pass in the halls, say hi, and he wouldn't look me in the eye. And everyone was like, for the next few days, I was the extra. I was like the star. All the extras, "You're funny, you're funny." I didn't get a part, but it was disillusioning meeting Donald Sutherland.
Well, that's why I don't
want to like people.
I don't think starstruck is cool.
Not starstruck, but again, it's that teen thing. Norm Macdonald said something. He's most impressed by people he met before he got into the business. Now when you're in the business, I'm more excited meeting someone from a show I watched as a kid, like the Bob Newhart show, like Jack Riley, than if I met George Clooney. It's that childhood stuff.
Okay, here's the...
sure. Yeah, to me, what's exciting is people who made me want to be a character actor, and I meet them. So did you not want to be a character actor growing up?
I never wanted to be an actor. I never wanted... I was tricked into it by saying a lot of money and here you can do this. But I'm a stand-up comedian and
it's
a filmmaker.
Funny.
That's it.
I like being creative and expressing myself. Like, this is fun if people like it. Is this going okay?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Great.
But I was tricked into stand-up because I didn't know how you became a character actor. And then someone said, Freddie Prinze, Jimmy Walker, they went to the Improv. They did their act, and they got on The Tonight Show. Then they got a sitcom. I go, that's all I have to do. So I fantasized being on The Tonight Show going, this is only my second time doing stand-up. And I remember when I was a stand-up, Robin Williams would film all day Moscow and the Hudson, and then he'd come in and all night do sets and at the Catch, a Rising Star. And I go, if I'm in a movie, I'd be so nervous. I want to wake up early. But so it's all different temperaments. So do you have any questions? Could I ask a question? What?
Yeah. Shouldn't you be, I'm talking to me now, but shouldn't one be drawn to that which has ease?
Absolutely. This is a thing. I'm all into the Deepak Chopra stuff. He got a little weird lately, but effortlessness. And yes, I used to beat myself up thinking, Fred, you should write anime movies. It's, you should do like a guy in a medieval movie. But that's not me. No, there's nothing wrong with it coming effortlessly. You got to put work into it, but it shouldn't be this crazy strain. So I'm all for effortlessness.
I just think sometimes we're confused on exactly what we want. And then, if you're starting to get a bunch of guest roles, you're like, well, I should love this. I should love this. So was there a time, I'm curious, like, when you weren't doing so much stand-up and you started to get booked more in TV shows, was there a time where you're like, okay, well, I guess I am an actor? And did
you never wanted to be one?
Never.
I know, but
never.
Did you ever?
What happened was I went from stand-up comedy to Second City, and then Second City to the Committee, which is an offshoot of the Second City. And then from that, I became an actor. But I became an actor because as I was in the show, the Committee show up in San Francisco, I was there for 10 years. In between shows, like on a day off or I took off a week, I would go down to Hollywood to do something. But that was a lark. That was, hey, not only am I in this show and it's a successful show in San Francisco, but every once in a while I get to hang.
When I wrote on Seinfeld,
And then when the committee stopped, that's all I had was being in Hollywood and doing acting. And then it was a drag. Although I didn't kind of realize it until it bubbled up.
Yeah.
So I was tricked into it in a way.
Acting is great.
I pulled out my regular, and I was stuck with the thing I did occasionally.
Acting is great if it's not the only thing you do.
Yeah.
If it's not the only thing you do. But I was like Larry in a comfort zone when there used to be a lot of sitcoms doing a lot, and I'm so busy doing them and reading and running around that, Now, when you say San Francisco, a question people have, is that how you got Escape from Alcatraz?
Yeah, I was up in San Francisco, and that was like a lark,
And you had a big part,
a huge part.
I never did a drama. Now, was it fun or
it was fun? It was fun because I was still working in San Francisco, so I had a weird day gig, night gig.
Wow.
In other words, my day gig was working in improv in San Francisco in a hit show, Lines Around the Block.
Wow.
So that was my day gig. It was at night. But in other words, don't quit your day gig. So all of a sudden I was invited down to L.A. to read for a Clint Eastwood movie. Hey, man, how cool. Something to talk about when I come back,
Oh.
So, and then I lucked into that because it was
to me,
luck.
That would be so much fun being in a prison and not being the nebbish and not being a delivery guy. And
I was the nebbish, though. That was where it started.
But still, you're in prison. I'll always be the nebbish, but I want to be. I'll always be like I did a TV movie with Tony Danza in Canada, and it was so much fun. We were garbage men and riding on a truck. To be even that being on a locker room rather than the stale sets. I mean, people look at me with stand up like it's the ultimate. It's a great thing if you're great, but you can't dabble. So I know people when I fell into a writing job on Seinfeld, and people resented me. You fell into this. This is the ultimate dream. But who are we to judge what people's dreams are? It's where the passion goes and everything. Let me ask you some more questions. This is not a good question from Sylvia Graves. What would be his perfect dream role? So we established
Emmett Demas, the outlaw Emmett Demas.
That's one of your characters.
That's what I'm writing. That's the movie I'm going to make.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Let me see. Lou DiMaggio asks him how he found himself hanging out with Bob Dylan and the band back in the basement tape days.
Wow, that was, who knows? I mean, I can tell you how, but I mean, that came out of that's like lightning, catching lightning. I got a call from got a call from Robbie Robertson. How I got a call from, how he even got my number, I don't know, but it was at the time of Big Pink, their first album, Big Pink. I got a call from Robbie Robertson. Hey, Robbie. Well, yeah, and he said, I want you to write a movie for me, with me. And I go,
where did he know you from, the committee and everything?
That's what I said. Where does this come from? How did you get my number? I mean, it was literally, I said that. I said, how did you get my number? He said, well, I got it from my agent who called your agent, but Bob Dylan told me to call you. I go, what? How? He said, I don't know. Bob told me to call you. You would write to call me. So when I went to Bearsville to write with Robbie and the band, Dylan showed up at one of the sessions. We were outside in the backyard playing football, and he came up to me and I said, "What? Why did you tell Robbie to call me? Where did that come from? I don't know you. I mean, I know you, but I don't. What? How?" He said, "Well, you are a stand-up. You were a stand-up comedian in the Village, right?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that was when I was there," which was right. I remember hearing his name. He said, "I used to go see you all the time."
Oh, my God.
So I thought you were pretty funny, and he wanted a funny movie, and I said, "Call Larry." So
and did you write the movie?
No.
Oh. Well,
I wrote a 13-page poem. Because that's all they were doing. In other words, I just fall in with what's going on. Well, so they were all writing songs, so I thought I'd write the thing as a rhyme. And when I showed it to Warner Brothers, who was paying me this huge amount to write the movie, they said, "Well, where's the script?" I said, "Well, it's kind of a song." And they go, "What? Send it here right away. I can even sing it for you." He said, No, just send it. So I sent it. And they called me back. No, I went to see him. He said, I read it. Come to the office. So I went, when I got back to L.A., I went to the office, and he said, you owe us $35,000. And I go, why? He said, we didn't pay you for a song. We paid you for a screenplay. I said, well, that's it. You know, that's what I got. That's it. The contract's over.
So you weren't starstruck then?
I am never. Starstruck is a really bad thing. I don't like being starstruck. It's not good at all.
No, I'm unhealthy. Let me ask you. Here's this question you'll like, because this is more up your alley. Mumble Slam said, "I love Larry. What's going on with Larry Hankin's Street Stories? And is there a chance he'll appear on Better Call Sal?" I could answer the second question. If he is going to be on Better Call Sal, I assume he's not allowed to say. But the first part, this guy knows your work.
What was the name? What was the
Mumble Slam? He's
no.
And what was he wants to know Larry Hankin's Street Stories.
Oh, Street Stories. Yeah, that's a film. That's Emmett Demas. That's the second or third film. I've written 3. I'm in the process of raising the money for the first one right now.
Well, let me ask you a little thing about me, your advice, everyone here. Now, this is maybe my first one. Now, people giving me different advice. Mike, who's not here, is thinking, oh, don't make it about you. You be the focus. Don't. It's not all guests. But Amber's saying it shouldn't just be me. It should be conversations. You think Fred Stoller and Friends. So do you have any advice?
For what?
For what this should be?
Podcast.
Oh, for the podcast.
You could chime in. What do you think?
Okay,
no, you could chime in your advice.
I
like
don't
this.
know what is going to. The best way is just to show up every day or week or whatever, and just keep doing these, and you'll find out.
Okay,
it'll shake down.
Because Mike was saying, Fred, you should tell your stories, but I've been getting my stories in, right? In this?
Yeah, and I almost think you have to have a guest.
All right, Mike disagrees. He says it's hard, but I will get one. Even if it's not a big guy like Larry, it could be my friend Charles, who quit comedy to become Orthodox Jewish.
There you go.
And resents it in me. But yeah.
You'll get your stories in.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
I got some stories in.
Yeah.
And
it was great, and you had an incredible guest.
I owe you so much, Larry. He's done, like I said, a bunch of these favors. We had at the Meltdown. We had one at SAG where we told these guest star stories. I totally am on your side with wanting to. Life is short, and to me, my mantra is hospitality, experience, and expression, and creativity. So just help people
Words
out,
to live by.
Have an experience, and be creative. And try and think of any other questions. Okay. The only other question is, what was Holly Hunter like? No, I'm just kidding. What was...
I was fighting for... See, I think that gives me a guard against being awestruck or starstruck, is I am so into remembering my lines. I don't have time to be starstruck.
No,
Holly
not
Hunter.
drooling.
I got to remember my lines.
I had a crush on Vicki Lewis, a redhead, only because she reminded me of someone else. Then I was going to ask her out. Someone said, dude, she's lived with Nick Nolte in Malibu for 10 years. She's not going to go from Nick Nolte to your little apartment without the air conditioning, okay? And they were right. And then, Hollywood is so weird because you have this weird random things. I was in an acting class, and there was a model, but she seemed to get me, I thought. I go, maybe I'll ask her out. It turned out she was dating Kiefer Sutherland, and before that, Nicolas Cage. It's always Nicolas Cage, Kiefer Sutherland, then Fred Stoller. But it's always this. Then another woman I was with, before me, she dated Harry Dean Stanton and Ed Begley Jr. I love the randomness of...
well, you're up there. You're with the stars, man.
Yeah, it's something to brag about. That I was with someone that was with Ed Begley Jr. Yeah. You gotta get excited. Well, for the first one, this was okay pacing, not too long, not too short, and under the hope that someone may be listening to this, Larry, what would you like to plug or push? Kickstarters with Emmett?
I don't know. I'm gonna probably do just. Go to my Facebook. I'll make an announcement at some point on Facebook. I'm going to be doing an evening of my show business stories. in Santa Monica. Sometime.
Well, I'm going to that, and we had a taste of that. Aren't they great?
Yeah, it was really great. It was really nice meeting you.
And Amber,
I'm not starstruck though.
Cool. Okay.
What would you like to say, Amber? And
what plug stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, you can follow me on Twitter, Amber Tozer, not
Tozen,
not Torzen. Tozer, and sometimes I do stand up.
Get on
Twitter.
Twitter. I got to get on Twitter.
That's fun.
Yeah,
it's my favorite platform.
And we're gonna have a theme song, and I'm gonna come here every week, guest or not, even if it's bringing my landlord and showing him evidence that I don't have a lot of money. I'm gonna keep coming here. And please, this is All Things Comedy. Support it. How do we support it? You buy the merch. You do the things. I love Bill Burr and Al, and wow. So
Bill Burr is cool. I mean, he's funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Now, there's a funny...
Now, Fred, that guy is funny. The way he points
why don't
to
you
me.
listen to Bill Burr?
Yeah, he's pointing to me now. Wait a minute. That would have been funny, Bill Burr. Bill Burr was a great guy. I don't get starstruck, but I get starstruck. I get intimidated thinking he's going to go, hey, you're a pussy. I'm a muscular guy. Hey,
he works with who he is. You know?
But he's cool. A great guy. He was so yeah. All right, this is what I get. I like when someone's aware of me that I like, and he was.
Yeah.
So that's what I like when they go, I'm a fan of yours.
Right.
So that was good, and here, let's see what happens. Let's see if this pilot goes. This is our pilot.
Cool, man.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you so much.